Okay, let's talk about FISA first. I touched on it when I first stood here and spoke about it. First of all, the problem that we have here is they want to protect the telecom industry. They want to protect the corporations. Corporations are under the laws like we are. And the problem is that they were allowed, and should be allowed, by the way, to spy on any conversation at that moment if it's necessary. They always had that right, and they continue to have that right. What they had to do, though, was they had to go and let a court review it. So they didn't have to run and get a subpoena before they listened in. And I don't want them to have to get a subpoena before if it's that critical. If there's a conversation going on at that moment that could threaten this country, I want the government to be able to listen in at that moment. I don't want them to miss that conversation. What the Bush administration wants to do is leave out the judicial review at all. And that's the problem, that you want the government, the branch of government that's supposed to do this, have an opportunity to review. So the FISA court would have to find out that they had done this, and they would rule to make sure that was okay. Now they're supposed to go before if they can, but they've always had the power to listen in at that moment if they had to. And of maybe 16,000 requests, they've only been denied about 5 times. It is not hard to get a subpoena. I mean, it's like virtually guaranteed that if you need a subpoena, you'll get it. And you can do it without a subpoena. The government can do it without. They just have to have judicial review, and they didn't want it. Now, the telecommunications industry, we don't want a country where when the president, when one person says to an industry, I want you to do this, that industry does it, even if it's outside the law. You just don't want that, and that's not who we are as a nation. And there was a company, Quest, that knew that this was not within the law, and they refused to do that. So remember, these corporations can pay for the greatest legal minds in the country, and obviously Quest did and listened to theirs. So they should not have done that. Now, they want retroactive immunity, and our thing is, how can you give retroactive immunity if you don't know what they did? We don't know what they did. Once they show us what they did and show the Intelligence Committee what they did, then, you know, they can make a decision. But nobody even knows what we're giving retroactive immunity to. And you would not want a judge to have somebody walk up and say, I'm not going to tell you what I did, but will you forgive me? And the judge goes, sure, no problem. No, that's not how we work. So we have to find out what they did, and then the decision can be made. But they know what the laws were. And by the way, a foreigner can, any foreign conversation they can listen to without a warrant at all, foreign conversation. And they can also get what's called a blanket or a basket warrant, which means, and they did get them, which means they could listen for a year. They wouldn't have to keep coming back. If there was a group that they suspected had terrorist connections, they could just listen. They got a warrant that will go to August '08. So nothing is going to change right now. But what they tried to do was force the House, and we just got it, by the way. You wonder why things don't get done. They pushed it so that the House wouldn't get the Senate version until right before it was time to go to district work week. And so they wanted to make it look like the House walked out without doing their duty. But we passed a FISA Act months ago, 3 months ago. We had an act to take care of some of the legal problems, but still provide the same kind of protection. So this really is a big scare tactic. FISA is still in effect, but not the one that the Protect America Act. We still have FISA protection. All of the warrants that they got until August '08 are still there. They can still listen in, but they're not supposed to listen in American to American unless they have a specific reason to do that.